Hey folks, welcome to another video. So I thought that I would film a reading vlog, kind of unthemed, just a week in my life reading vlog. I feel like ideally I would love to do a weekend reading vlog, but really our weekends have been so busy, and that's actually when I get the least amount of reading done because we tend to be a lot more social, or my husband and I have a lot more plans and like stuff to do. And so really during the week I prioritize reading kind of in the morning, in the evening, and throughout my day I'll be listening to an audiobook if I'm, doing kind of like errands or mundane tasks around the house. And let me tell you, I have been on like a reading streak really the past few months, but in August I've read some incredible books. Most of them have been 5 or 4 stars, so I'm like on a trajectory for good books and good vibes, and I want to keep that up. I'm reading quite a few different books, so I will mention them now. I'll start with a book that I started last night, and that is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I read The Martian earlier this year and I loved it, and this is his new release. It's about a guy kind of lost in space. The astronaut wakes up from a chronic like sleep chamber. He has amnesia and doesn't remember who he is or what he's doing there. His fellow crewmates are dead, and so he's sort of just like figuring out what the heck is going on, and he's trying to like access his memories and try to piece together the situation. It's definitely interesting. I think it's going to be a 4-star read for me. I'm the kind of person that I feel like I can immediately tell the rating of the book. I don't think it's going to be as good as The Martian for me, only because already this is so scientifically dense. It's already like a bit much, and I'm skimming through some of those like physics and chemistry equations that this guy is trying to solve. The Martian also had a lot of like scientific mathematical problems, but it didn't seem as much. And then let me tell you what I'm listening to this week. So I am almost done with Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. This book was on my 12 nonfiction books to read in 2021. It was quite popular and hyped last year, and honestly for good reason. I was really like holding off picking this one up because I was intimidated by it. I know it was like thick and maybe like philosophical, and I've been in a really big nonfiction mood in August, specifically for like narrative nonfiction and memoirs on Libby, and I'm so glad that I've been listening to this book. If this book is on your TBR and you've been waiting to pick it up, this is your sign and your recommendation to do it because it's so good. It's so fascinating. The author, Isabel Wilkerson, does an incredible job explaining why we are where we are right now in the tension of our world and climate, particularly in the United States, around race. And I can't get over how genius this title is, and the more you read the book, the more it kind of makes an impact of why our country is so full of discontent and tension. This book is political, but mainly this is about social justice and race and the caste system of the US. And the author tells anecdotes and stories from her own personal life. She also connects and explains parts of the caste system in India and the caste system and hierarchical system that existed during the Nazi regime in Germany, and then of course jumps into slavery in America and how all of the things that we are not aware of that subconsciously are in our mind and affect the decisions and how we see people and how we relate to one another and basically the state of the world. I'm loving it. I'm almost done, hoping to finish that today or tomorrow. Once I'm done with that though, I usually listen to 2 or 3 audiobooks a week. The next ones on the gamut are The Bomber Mafia by Malcolm Gladwell. I've mentioned in a few videos that I love Malcolm Gladwell. I first heard about him from Revisionist History, which is a podcast that he runs, and it is incredible. Highly recommend you pick that up. But his books are also great. He narrates them, and I've read several of them. This is his newest release. It's only 5 hours long, which I'm excited about. But I believe it's all about like the weapons and how it changed warfare. So although this is 5 hours and pretty short, it's more of like a long format podcast because I know that he interviews different people. He incorporates like sounds of the war and news sound bites into the book. So that's what I'm reading this week, hopefully. And honestly, I hope my 5-star, 4-star reading streak continues because all of these books I'm very excited about. All of these books sound very good and what I want to read. So yeah, I'll check in throughout the week. This will probably be a longer video, but I'll just check in with random life moments and reading moments. Okay, in an unforeseen turn of events, I'm so bored by this book. I read about 100 pages, so I'm like 150 pages in, and I just don't understand why this is exciting, why people are so hyped about this book. This is so boring. And then I think another fault of people talking about this book. They don't want to spoil anything. And I'm going to say something, and I don't think that it is a spoiler. I think that it is, you should know going into this. Because if you don't like aliens, then don't read this book. I don't really love reading about aliens. I don't really care. I'm not even that big into space, but I liked Martian because it seemed believable. The premise of this book seemed believable. A guy in space gets amnesia and needs to figure out how to survive and like figure out what's going on. Sure, that sounds interesting, but no one told me that like the main point of this book is aliens. Nothing against people who love reading about aliens, but I'm just not one of those people. I'm not only so bored by the science because I just don't care to read very long, like pages and pages and pages of him just doing math problems. And it's so slow paced. I'm finding myself skimming as much as possible because I do not care about the math problems. And the way the author is just overly detailed, meticulously describing every single possible movement in space that I could care less about, I'm just skimming, and that's a sign for me that I'm just not enjoying my time reading this. I'm getting sleepy and I'm getting bored. I'll check in with you when I'm further along if I don't DNF this. This is DNFable right now, which is so not what I was expecting from this book. Okay, don't hate me, but I'm DNFing this book on page 200. I'm sorry, I did not see that coming. I was expecting this to be a 4 or 5 star read, but this was not that for me, and this might be a fantastic book for people who love science fiction as a genre, who love alien and space stories. I'm just not one of those people. And I think if I knew that this was primarily a first encounter with aliens saving the world from an invasive alien species book, I would have never picked it up because I would have known that I would not be enjoying it. And this is what this book is. It's all about aliens. And I feel like people think that that is a spoiler, but it's not. They should know that. And I really just don't want to power through and skim through 300 pages of something that I'm not enjoying and that ultimately I don't really care about. I'm kind of glad that last month I was able to DNF my first book because I think if I didn't, I would be very hesitant to not finish this one because I don't like to not finish books, but I'm realizing more and more there's so many books out there to read, more than I could ever read in my lifetime, and I would rather pick up something that I truly find enjoyable and I'm excited about and I'm enjoying the experience, because ultimately it's about enjoying the reading experience, and I'm not enjoying this reading experience, so I'm gonna put it down and move on to the next one. It's 5 o'clock on Monday, and I'm really in the mood to do what Lexi's doing right now, which is that. Look how cute she sleeps with her little, oh, sorry to wake you up. Yeah. I think it might be nap time for me too. After putting down Project Hail Mary and deciding to DNF it, I picked up Night Film by Marisha Pessl. And this is a multimedia thriller mystery horror, is what I have found out. And I have made it 50 pages in. This is a 600-page book. It's a thick one. It feels incredibly heavy. The pages are very, very thin. I knew nothing about this book going into it, except that it is quite popular on BookTube. I should have read the reviews on Goodreads first, and I probably should have read the synopsis. This is a lot more dark, gritty, creepy than I want. And now I'm realizing I don't really care about those kinds of thriller books. Basically, the premise is that there is a body discovered of a 25-year-old girl named Ashley who supposedly committed suicide, but maybe there's more to the story. The main character of this book and the main kind of voice is a journalist, and he's also struggling, divorce, drinking problem, failed career. Ashley, the girl who's dead, her father is a famous horror movie producer, and his movies are supposedly so creepy and so disturbing that they have been banned for normal viewing theatrical release, and there is now this like underground cult classic scene of watching these horrible movies that supposedly like will incredibly disturb you, and he hasn't been seen for years. This journalist is now thinking that her, disturbed father is somehow involved in her death. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to DNF this. Like I said, I'm 50 pages in. I might give it a little bit longer, but to be honest, I think if I were to power through this 600-page book, I probably wouldn't rate this more than 2 stars, just based on the the feel and content of this book, and I imagine that the more that will be revealed, the more disturbing and creepy that it's gonna get. Like I mentioned in my anti-TBR video, I do not like horror books. I didn't really know this was a horror book. I thought this was like a thriller of a missing person. I don't think this is what this is gonna be. What is this video? Man, I was really hoping for a positive one. Hi friends, good morning. It is the next day, and I indeed did DNF night film. It's just not the book for me, folks. It was too horror creepy, so moving on to the next one. Instead, I decided to go with a comfort zone pick. Something that I know that I love, and it's historical fiction. So I picked up News of the World by Paulette Jiles. This book came out several years ago. I originally saw one of my friends read it, and then when I was perusing the library shelves, the reference librarian saw me holding it and said, "That's a great book." And the movie with Tom Hanks either is coming out or has come out. I actually really like the size of this book. It's kind of like short and squat, which is nice to hold. So this book starts in 1870 in Texas, following Captain Kidd, who is this like older man, I think in his 80s, who's lived through 3 wars. The Civil War recently just ended, and he goes around telling people the news of the world. So he reads newspaper articles and different kind of events that have been going on in the US and around the world to people in these small towns. I started this last night. I only got to page 30, but he's currently on a journey to deliver a Native American girl back to her family. She was captured or enslaved at some point and kind of has gotten passed around, and now he's the one that agreed to take her back. And then it's jumped back into his time in the war. There's a lot of military language in here, so although some of that flashback military time is a little bit boring, I'm very interested to know more about this Captain Kidd and his life story. I kind of like the idea of someone older looking back through their life and talking about, you know, certain events that they were a part of and that shaped them. I feel like that's kind of interesting. So yeah, we'll see where this book goes. The other book that I just finished this morning is Caste, The Origin of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. And oh my goodness, everything I said in my intro, if you're sleeping on this book and you haven't picked it up because you're a little intimidated by it or it sounds boring, don't read it. The audiobook is fantastic, although I'm very tempted to get the physical copy because there were parts of it that I just wish I could circle or highlight or underline. I do not annotate or write my books or like note them in any way, but this one felt like it could be one because there were so many, I feel like, important moments that were eye-opening to me and very important for me to hear, and yeah, I loved it. Easy 5 stars. This one is gonna sit with me for a while. I feel like I'll be thinking and talking about it. It's a fantastic resource. Pick it up. Hey friends, look at this beautiful bouquet of flowers. My friend Liliana, she just grows them in her yard. She grew these from seed, these gorgeous dahlias. Anyways, I'm also going to be starting a new puzzle. It is by Julia Rothman. It was super cute. I couldn't pass it up. I love these kind of like collage-y puzzles because I find them fun to do and kind of like assemble each little piece as you go. And while I'm doing that, I'll be listening to The Bomber Mafia by Malcolm Gladwell, like I mentioned. I think it's really cool that this audiobook actually comes with a listening guide that has like photographs and reflections and resources that the author pulled from, because this is a very resource heavy book, as most of his books are, and he really did curate this book to be an audiobook. Specifically, he went to a Air Force base that had a bunch of audio recordings and audio files of the warplanes during World War II and the men that were flying those planes. This is going to be primarily a book on war and airplane warfare, which isn't necessarily something I'm interested in, but I love the author and how he puts history together and tells a really good story. I'm intrigued to start that one while I work on the puzzle. It's been a little bit since I've checked in. I didn't vlog anything yesterday because I worked all day. And the last thing that you just saw was me stopping by a little free library that was earlier today. So I was just gonna do a tiny little haul of what I got. The first one is Gilead by Marilyn Robinson. Now I'm actually currently have another copy on my shelves of this book that I'm borrowing from a friend of mine. It's one of her all-time favorite books. This is a brand new, perfect condition copy, so I thought that I would have one of my own and I can give back the one that I'm borrowing. I'm still skeptical about me liking this book. It is a literary historical fiction. It is about a man writing a letter to his son. It is now a series. I know it's very beloved. I heard the audiobook is great, so I might pair this physical read with the audiobook whenever I get to it, but it is one of my books that I want to get to this year. The other one I picked up is The Invention of Wings by Sue Monk Kidd. I know that this author wrote The Secret Life of Bees, but this one comes quite highly rated on Goodreads. The two main characters in this book is, I believe, a mother and her daughter, and the mother was a former slave. It's set in South Carolina. The other one is The Sympathizer by Viet Thanh Nguyen, Carnegie Medal winner of the Pulitzer Prize. I like that it's by an Asian author. I feel like I want to read more diversely, so that's always a plus. This book comes very well loved and annotated, so the previous owner enjoyed it. The book's narrator is a double agent. It covers the time after the fall of Saigon. I don't know much about Vietnamese history, so again, would love to dive in and just broaden my perspective and learn something new. So this one sounds really good. And then finally I picked up Inside the O'Briens by Lisa Genova. This is a very popular author. I haven't read one of her books yet. This book mainly deals with a family and the husband gets Huntington's disease, which is a lethal genetic neurodegenerative disease with no effective treatment and no cure. And I'm assuming this book covers dealing with that diagnosis, the degeneration of the man who has it, and the aftermath and the effects on the family as a whole. Sounds tough, but really interesting, and I don't know anything about this disease. That's my little free library haul. And I also finished a couple books. So last night I finished News of the World, and overall I enjoyed this one. I think it falls like at a 3.5 stars for me. It felt very lighthearted and sweet and happy ending, which was great. I think it was too short to like dive in and love the characters, and because this is technically like a Western post-Civil War set in Texas dealing with like cowboys and Indians and riding in a carriage, parts of it just kind of felt dull and boring for me. But again, overall enjoyed it. I look forward to watching the movie with Tom Hanks. I feel like he's going to play the main character of this book very well. And just earlier today I finished The Bomber Mafia by Malcolm Gladwell, and man, this vlog was supposed to be like 5-star reads, but no. I mean, I had one, but it's really taken an unexpected turn. I had 2 DNFs and now a 2-star rated book and a 3-star rated book. Bomber Mafia I gave 2 stars, unfortunately. The production level of this audiobook is next level. It was beautiful, beautifully done, but the subject matter was boring as heck. I just did not care about the wartime generals and the bomber planes during World War II and how they bombed citizens in Japan. It was just so dull, and I did not care about like a very detailed military history, which is so unfortunate because Malcolm Gladwell, I think one of his strengths is he just takes a moment in history and unpacks it so well. I just didn't, again, care about this subject matter. So I just would love this audiobook format and the way he produces it and his production team makes it, but just with a totally different subject matter, something that I care more about. But again, for those that like military history, I'm sure this is great. I'm just not one of those people, so that was unfortunate, but it is what it is. And also this morning I had to go in for car service, so I had like an hour and a half to kill, and I started reading Comrade Koba by Robert Littell. I mentioned this book in my book set in Russia and Ukraine that I want to read. This is a short little novel that I found in my library new fiction section. It had vibes of City of Thieves by David Benioff, which I picked up last year and loved. It was a 5-star read. That's why I gravitated towards this one. It's set in Moscow in the 1950s, and this little 10-year-old boy whose dad dies and mom gets arrested, is kind of left to survive and fend for himself, and he befriends a high-ranking Russian official named Koba, who is like Stalin's right-hand man. They start having a conversation. That's how far I got. This is only a 160-page book and I'm on page like 40, so it's gonna be a really quick read. It's very different than anything I've read. It's very conversational and thought-based, not so much plot-based, which is usually really important to me, but maybe I'm biased because of the subject matter. It's fascinating. There's a lot of kind of like Russian history and literature being brought out from the conversation that this boy is having with this official. Very interesting so far, and I'm intrigued to continue reading this one. Hey friends, happy Friday. I started The Night Swim by Megan Goldin. This was a book that was on my summer TBRs, and also because I DNF'd Night Film, I needed another word with a time of day in the title. And I'm really enjoying it so far. It is a mystery thriller and it has two main characters. The first one is Rachel, who is a journalist, and she has a true crime podcast where she kind of like breaks down the case and lets her audience know about all of the details, and they decide guilty or not guilty. So she is in this small town in North Carolina following a rape trial case. At the same time, she keeps getting these mysterious letters from like a super fan of the show saying like, hey, my sister died when I was young. It was considered a drowning, but I think something bad happened. I really need your help investigating this. And it was in the small town, but like 20 years prior. I'm just under halfway through that. It's a really easy listen. It's a great audiobook because it does have little like segments of the podcast in it, which is interesting. So it is like an investigative, journalistic, interviewing people, uncovering the truth kind of thing, which I'm really enjoying so far. It's also a pretty like clean thriller. Obviously deals with a very heavy topic, but I feel like it's so far very well done. I'm very interested and intrigued by it. The plan for the day, I'm going to get some coffee with a friend of mine. We're gonna go on a walk around here. I'm selling my car today, which I'm a little bittersweet about because I love my car, but it needs to go. And yeah, that's the main thing. I'll check in with you later. Hey there, back home. I just had the loveliest walk and talk and catch up with my friend Ina. We had a little coffee and croissant at La Petite Provence, which is really fun. We went on this little nature walk and I stopped by a little free library, and I've just been really lucky with little free libraries. You saw my little clip? I picked up There by Tommy Orange. This is a novel about Native communities, and I think it follows the main character who is recently sober and kind of like dealing with aftermath effects of something. And I know that it is a very highly praised book. And then yesterday, I didn't film it, I totally forgot. I also scored a couple. Truly Madly Guilty by Liane Moriarty. Loved Big Little Lies. I have her other books on my shelves that I need to read. I need to read more Liane Moriarty. I just need to pick it up, so I'm glad I have this one to add to. And then also, I just scored this lovely edition of Gone with the Wind. It is so heavy. I'm very intimidated by this book. I don't know when I will read it because it's so thick. It's like almost 1,000 pages, but it's a very popular classic historical fiction set post-Civil War. I feel like I've heard that this definitely has like some racist undertones to it, at least how the black characters are represented in this novel. So I don't really know about that, but I know that it's also beloved by a lot of people and one of their favorite historical fiction, favorite classics. I don't know when I'll get to it, but it was free and it was lovely. So that's that one. It's been a couple hours. I am 70% of the way done with The Night Swim, and I'm really liking it. It's one of the best thrillers I think I've read in a very long time. It's very interesting, and it's also pretty, like, again, clean and mild from like the stuff I usually don't like, which is like gore and horror and creepiness. It's just more of like an investigative, journalistic unfolding of events. It's bringing up a lot of things to think about and like discussion. I would say it's giving me similar vibes to Know My Name by Chanel Miller, and even 13 Reasons Why, the TV show on Netflix. I know that there was a book about it and a lot of people didn't like the book or whatever, but the show was harder to watch. It was a lot more intense, but it deals with the same topics on like consent and rape and like slut shaming and the aftermath of these sexual assault cases and how they're kind of laid out in trial. And the book has kind of now turned into more of like a courtroom drama, like unfolding of events in that way. I'm hoping to finish it tonight. While dinner's in the oven, I wanted to show you another puzzle. This whole vlog is just puzzles and book hauls. I found this at a little free library a while ago, but I wanted to show you. It's a puzzle by Trove is the company. And I found this little bag in a little free library. It says, I did this puzzle and now it's your turn. You're supposed to like put the date, but I don't know. I don't really want to write on a bag. And the pieces, I don't know if you can tell, they're like fully wooden, like really high quality pieces. They're very cool. I mean, obviously this is a 250 piece puzzle, so it's gonna be extremely quick, but it's just like, I find this idea so fun and I feel like it'd be such a good gift, and it's the perfect little thing to put into a little free library. So I'm gonna work on this puzzle, finish it, and then I'll put it in a little free library when I'm done. Also, I feel like for the most part, people who love books also love to do puzzles. So it's smart, you know, to include that. Lexi, what's going on? All right, well, I'm gonna continue working on this puzzle, and it's my oven. Preheated. Does anyone else put food in the oven before your oven preheats? I do that all the time. I just turn the oven on and then I put the food in. I don't know if that's bad, but I do not have time for preheating. I just put the food in right away. So like, my stuff's already in the oven way before it's done preheating. I don't know if that's like anti-cooking taboo, but let me know if you do that too and I'm not the only one. It's already 6 p.m. on Saturday and my husband and I are just getting ready to go to the beach. So I thought that I would continue the vlog just a couple more days. I don't know how much reading I'm gonna get done, but I'll include some clips of us at the beach. I did want to give an update on the puzzle that I did last night. It was super fun and very cute. These wooden pieces are really cool. These like fun extra shapes were really awesome. I enjoyed my time thoroughly and I would totally do one again. They are very expensive. I looked them up online. They're like 35 bucks, which is a bit pricey. I'm like checking in a totally different place. My husband and I just had to leave and we made it to the beach house that we're staying at, which is actually my sister's beach house. It's an Airbnb. If you ever find yourself on the Oregon coast, come stay at an Escape. It's this gorgeous beach house. Can't really see anything because it's nighttime right now, but you can see the views of the ocean. It sleeps like 20 people. It's super aesthetically designed and built. Little shout out to my sister because she's an incredible designer. But my husband and I are staying here. I'm doing a favor for her because they have some special guests staying. So I brought some like wine and flowers to put around and make the Airbnb feel extra special. I worked at the library this morning and that's the little clip you saw of me in the morning. It was actually a pretty slow Saturday. And then book related, I did end up finishing The Night Swim while I was driving around today and I really enjoyed it. It was a great ending. Overall, a very solid thriller. Found it very enjoyable. It's probably like a 4.5. That was really well done. So glad I finished that one off my list, and I started The Inheritance Games, which is a young adult whodunit mystery. It was recommended by Chantel from An Intentional Life. She really enjoyed it, and we all read The Weston Game together, which is a classic mystery about an inheritance, and you know, there's like a game afoot and someone is gonna win the inheritance of this like guy that mysteriously died. I think this book is similar but more modern. There is a teenage girl and there's an older guy, rich guy that died, and she weirdly is on his will and no one knows why, and so she like flies down for the reading of the will, and I'm assuming there's gonna be like a game that the people have to play, and if you win the inheritance. I'm only a few chapters in, but it's pretty interesting so far. It's been compared to Knives Out, which is one of me and my husband's favorite movies. Anyways, I'm enjoying that. That's my reading, and I think my husband and I are gonna watch New Girl. We're still watching that show. I don't know why, but we are. There is like a sauna and a steam room here, so we'll utilize that, and I'm tired and I want to be warm because it's actually kind of cold at the coast. And then tomorrow I'll put in some clips of the beautiful home and the beautiful beach if it's nice out. We do want to go on a walk on the beach. This is going to be a long vlog probably, but it is what it is. Memories. So this is the very cute beach house in daylight. I helped kind of make this little welcome guest packet, put some of my honey, some wine, some cute flowers, that it looks all ready to go for the guests. But yeah, the views from this place are gorgeous. This is in Oregon. But yeah, now that I've done what I came here to do, my husband and I are just gonna go find a nice little beach to go walk around, maybe grab some lunch. You know, we'll see where the day takes us, but it's gonna be pretty chill Sunday. Oh, look who it is. Hey, babe.
Hi.
What are you doing?
Just doing some stretches.
Yeah, while I do my little thing.
Next to the ocean.
You ready to go on a walk on the beach?
Mm-hmm.
Your new jacket, babe.
It's wonderful. My new color.
We both just got new North Face jackets. It was a little bit of a splurge, but they were the outlets in Lincoln City, so they were like real cheap.
40% off.
Yes. So we got little like kind of matching fleece jackets.
Yeah.
I'm always cold, so this is gonna get a lot of good use this fall, winter. I don't know if you can hear me because the ocean's loud. Anyways, we're just walking on the beach. Alright, it's finally time to wrap this video up. The first book that I started and did not finish is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. You've already heard my thoughts about it. I've only DNF'd 6 books at this point. This is the only one that I'm second guessing whether I should have kept reading or not. Mainly because I watched Krista from Books and Jams weekend vlog and she was really loving this book. I did not feel the same way and I still feel sort of good about DNFing it because I really wasn't enjoying my time reading it. But I'm also now like feeling the FOMO vibes of everyone else who's been reading and loving this book. I still have like 2 weeks left on my library hold on this, so I don't know if I'll return it or keep it and still be thinking about it. I mean, I'm feeling like I did not finish it and I'm okay with that. The other book that I DNF'd on that same day is Night Film by Marisha Pessl. This was a popular booktube book that I really couldn't connect with, so goodbye to that one. And then I finished the audiobook of Caste by Isabel Wilkerson, which was incredible. 5 stars, highly recommend. A brilliant nonfiction. The other book I finished this week is News of the World by Paulette Jiles, and I gave this like a 3.5 stars. Overall, it was a great reading experience, but not super memorable. Like, this isn't like a standout book, but it was a good time. And then I finished the audiobook for The Bomber Mafia by Malcolm Gladwell, a nonfiction about World War II airplanes, and I was very bored and I gave that 2 stars. And then I finished The Night Swim by Megan Goldin, which is a thriller that I really enjoyed. It's sitting around like a 4 or 4.5 stars. It was a great thriller. And then I'm in the middle of 2 books, partially in Comrade Koba and about 70% done now with the Inheritance games. So I got a lot of reading done, even with the 2 DNFs. So that's that. Thanks so much for watching this vlog, and I'll see you guys in another video soon. Bye!